Do jumping attacks work? Oh, you pulled that one.
I pulled it for some reason.
No. So jumping attacks don't really work the way that we think about them, right? The way that we perceive a jumping attack is someone leaping through the air to hew a foe in half. And the reason that doesn't work is because once your feet leave the ground, you give up all control of where your body is going. As you saw a couple times, as soon as I initiated this attack, I was stuck here. I couldn't stop myself. He could track the movement and do something else. Even worse is when he used a point and he was able to just stab me because I couldn't stop. When we're doing fencing or swords work in general, we generally, if I'm coming towards him, let's say with a beat on his blade, what I want to do, and if he deceives, I want to be able to stop and reconsider what's happening. This is why we don't take huge footwork, because if I do and I'm going to get this, we get so many points from people charging in too confidently and just making a small adjustment there. Same thing with a jump and a cut. If I'm jumping and cutting, it's really hard for me to like switch in midair this because I don't have my footwork. I can't stop. I can't like air stop, right? If I commit to this attack to hit him, it's over. That is my movement. If I hit him, great. If he parries, now I'm landing, readjusting, and doing all of this stuff is throwing me off. It means that I am a much more vulnerable target to him. You can jump backwards. If I'm fencing him and I am in a bad spot and I just need to get out, I can jump back. An explosive backwards piece of footwork is not ideal. Ideally, I want to have a controlled piece of footwork so that I can parry and come back in really quick. But if I just need space and time, I can absolutely take a big retreat back. It is fast. And it gets me out of it. One of the other things you'll notice when I'm making these attacks, I'm not going up. I'm basically at level. My head's not going up and down. First off, just from a
bloodborne dodging.
Yeah, bloodborne dodging. From a purely geometrical perspective, right? A straight line is the fastest line. If I'm expending energy to go up and down, it's slower and it takes me back faster, right? Same thing with a forward attack. You can do explosive forward attacks. You just don't want to jump into them. If I'm here and I know I have a clean line, let's say I deceive here, I could thrust and jump in, right? But it's an explosive piece of footwork. It's a flesh at this point. It is this. It is boom. And I still have my feet under me. It is risky, but it's much more controlled than this. That was really scary.
I made sure the tip would be in your face.
What happened if you couldn't see? As I jumped, I had no control. I couldn't do anything in this.
And I knew what line I had to protect and where to put my point, and then I just wait.
Are we saying that there's no way you can land a jump attack? No. Anything can happen in a sword fight, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything is statistical probability.
Yeah, there are times people have done a big jump, landed it, and it's worked.
I think sometimes in cartoons or video games or whatever, there's this mechanic where it's like if you jump up and come down, you'll have more power. And it's like probably not actually.
No, because you're losing all the power that you would generate from your feet.
Your power comes from being anchored to the ground and pivoting through.
Your power comes from being able to manipulate your muscle and body structure using the ground as an anchor to actually deliver more power than just your body weight alone, right? If I am in air, the only power I have is my body weight plus this torque. If I'm here, I have all of this power from this push. It's the same reason why when people punch, they use their body to twist into it. They want the power coming all the way up the chain of the body and using like that. It's the same with swords. And when we remove ourselves from the ground in that kind of up and down way, we lose all of that. With the flesh, I'm still coming off of that foot. Closer look at this power, right? It's here. Let me go ahead and get you. It's here, and then my foot is pushing into him. I don't even leave the ground, really. It's like a running step, and I lunge into him with my back foot. So all my power is transferred through there. I could do this with an explosion where I press off like that and get a little bit more air, but it is a line. It's not an arc.
Right.
Yeah, so when we're talking about jumping attacks, we just don't really do them in fencing. We want to be more controlled. Then we'd rather have that extra control than, go sailing through the air.
Yep, and if I'm on my feet, making small changes or whatever, it's hard for my opponent to predict what's going to happen.
Exactly.
If I launch myself into the air, they know I'm going to follow a certain path and come down somewhere, and that's it.
Basic physics tells you that if they're in the air, you know where they're coming. They can't change direction. It's not a video game. Whereas small footwork, I don't know what my opponent's going to do. Yeah, let's take a look. You got my hand on the way in.
Yep.
Arm. No. Just, I have no control after I land.
I got through the parry a tiny bit.
A little bit.
A little bit through the parry.
Yeah. Just know where it's coming, don't you?
Yeah. That one you got my thumb.
I didn't jump.
Yeah, you didn't jump.
I
That's
didn't
why
jump.
it worked. That's why it worked.
So slow! Oh my god.
Well, all I had to do was calculate.
Yeah.
Oh, he's up here doing this. I
Well,
just do
it's
this.
not like I'm going to do another angle from up there.
You could try, but it probably wouldn't work.
So, as you saw, tried to do some more jump attacks. And I found as I was in the air, realistically, if I'm up there, the only target that makes sense for me to cut from is this one, because I do have, that's where I'm coming from. I tried to jump and cut from other angles. It felt weird, it didn't work. I tried to jump and thrust, but I found that I could not bring myself to jump up and thrust. I ended up doing a explosive lunge like we talked about.
Which worked.
And it worked.
He was on the ground.
It was on the ground, it was fast.
Yeah.
The times that I took the extra time to actually go up and come down were laughably slow, and they were easy for him to see.
I actually found myself, I know you told me not to hold back, but I can't help it sometimes when I'm like, oh God, he's coming down on my point. I don't want to, because these are blunt, but like this.
It still hurts.
It's
There's a
fairly
couple
stiff.
times where I could tell that he pulled the point a little bit because it was my entire weight coming down on his point.
The only other concern I might have is if it's a really big cut and I'm just responding with a thrust, the cut might still come down, but it's very easy if it's just a cut coming from one side or the other to thrust while doing this and take the steam out of it.
And additionally, as we found, the landing itself is going to give this person a half a second of readjustment. Even if I practice that over and over again, landing, you're going towards someone, you don't know what they're going to do. It's not like I'm jumping and landing and continuing to go. I am jumping with a calculated attack that has been forwarded and then landing near him. The other problem with this is that I cannot stop once my attack is done. I keep going towards him, and my distance is so cramped, I find myself here, and I'm not ready for that. So
I'm ready for that because I've been watching.
Yeah, he's been watching. He controls the distance. If I jump, he controls the distance, which is never what you want in a fight. You wanted to say something about sport fencing?
Yeah, you actually, in very high level sport fencing with younger sport fencers, especially with epee and foil, you see some of them do, sometimes they'll do silly things like this, but it's more of a showy type of thing, and there's not a lot of emphasis on self-preservation in high-level sport fencing. They're supposed to be, but
fencing is a game.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it worse, doesn't make it bad, but sport fencing is a game, it is a sport. And as we've talked about before on this channel, as something becomes more sportified, it moves further away from that martial truth, because in order to make it a sport, you have to make rules, and if there are rules, there's ways to work around those rules. So they're able to ignore certain things and add in stuff. Like saber, it's poison stick. It doesn't matter if it's the true edge or the false edge, it's electrified.
It's like a lightsaber.
Yeah, it's like a lightsaber. But yeah, so jumping attacks, not super effective. Jumping backwards can be, but kind of as a last ditch thing.
One last thing, you mentioned something about being able to practice it maybe. Use your time practicing to be a good overall fencer and use sound techniques that will work in a huge variety of cases instead of the idea that you can like master a certain technique, I think, comes from anime or something.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
And we've talked about this before on this channel. The idea that there is a technique that is not very effective, but if you train it hard enough, it becomes effective. Don't waste time polishing a turd, right? Go ahead and use those techniques that are very effective and can be applied over a large area of, like a large area of situations, a bunch of situations. Don't take that one super niche technique that sucks everywhere except for this one super hypothetical thing that you probably will never encounter in your fencing career, right? Work on those things that are universally applicable, yeah? Jumping attacks, not a great idea. Thank you for, we had some fans actually continuously suggest this. So if there's something that you want to see us debunk or prove, or, we give everything a fair shot. So if you want to see us talk about something, go ahead and leave a comment. Tell us what you want us to do.
Sure.
And if you like this, remember to, what was it again?
You could thrust the like
button.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Subscribing.
Pommel strike the subscribe button.
Pummel strike the subscribe button. And then if you like our stuff, we appreciate it. Those people who have the means to go ahead and support us on Patreon or on YouTube memberships. So thanks for your time, and we'll see you next time.